Greetings, one and all. Deol Ludhianvi asked this question. He said, I'm a beginner. I want to record my written poetry professionally. High and low tones. He was wondering about the mic and audio interface. He says his room isn't soundproofed. He has a budget of $300. A storekeeper told him that he couldn't use a dynamic. Well, firstly, I've got some ideas, but understand I've got a very limited number of, I've got a lot of gear compared to, as you can imagine, compared to the average person. But in terms of all the microphones and stuff that's out there, nowhere near. So I can only really talk about stuff I've got right now. I'm on the Earthworks Ethos with the Icon Pro Grille, because it's just that little bit clearer. It doesn't matter for what I'm doing now, but when I'm referencing things, I'll have it as clear as maybe, at the expense of an occasional pop, because that doesn't matter so much in the kind of things I'm doing. So that's what I've got here. The desk I'm using is a Mackie Pro FX8, and I've tested it against other things, which we'll come to later, and I've found it fine for what I'm doing. So in my thinking, microphone is the most important. These days, we're spoiled. We're spoiled with microphones, and we're spoiled with the electronics. The desk, I think, the audio interfaces, even inexpensive ones, well good enough for voiceovers. I'm going into an old laptop running Audacity and Windows XP because it's quiet, it's small on the desk here. There's a netbook, I think they call it, 2 gigs of RAM, which I upgraded from 1, but doesn't really need it. It's just doing the audio. That's all it does. It sits here. It's not internet. It can be, but it's not internet connected. It just sits here. No antivirus or anything. It just sits here and does the Audacity and trips up every now and then. Seems to be doing all right at the moment. So, there you go. That's the kind of quality you're getting from that. But let's talk about the mic. So I had some thoughts about the mic for voiceover we're talking. So this, of course, but way above budget. So what is it about this that I would want in something else? I'm thinking, he says high and low. I don't know what his voice is like. You may be doing things like this in voiceovers, I don't know. And you might want to have that kind of a thing going on. So you need the low-end response. So I'm thinking extended. I think it needs to be flat, because if it's putting on its thing, like most do, then you've got that going on to start with. But actually, if I'm doing a voiceover and I want that kind of thing, I can do it. But if it's there in the mic, I'm going to have a hell of a job getting rid of it later. So I'm thinking, really, what are we saying? Flat, extended, speed. Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But I'm not sure that's the most, talking about clarity. As long as it's reasonably clear, and most modern mics are going to be, I think it'll be clear enough. If you want the luxury of something like this, then you'll have to pay for it. But I'm not sure it's essential for your poetry. Bear in mind, there's all sorts of EQ stuff you can do later if you've got a good initial recording. Extended pattern, no, pop, oh yeah. Not exaggerated character, I've just mentioned that. Pops, sibilants. Well, pops are going to be a biggie because they could ruin the take. Sibilants might be a biggie because it could ruin the take. Seems to me pops are relatively easy to get rid of. I just mentioned about them occurring on this with this head, but I choose to have that, I choose not to use a pop filter. You could very easily use a pop filter and eliminate it entirely without too much degradation to the sound. So pops aren't really an issue. They're an issue if you want the thing compact, and in stage mic as well, because you haven't got room for a filter. So you haven't got room for it, so it's all got to be in one hand. So, but pops aren't the issue. Sibilants might be if it's got that peak, because you're going to have to try and get rid of it. And that might not be so easy. Reasonable clarity I've mentioned. Handling, what I mean by that is this to some extent. Oh, I'm on this one. Now, only mics can do that. It's this thing ringing. So, you know, but this one actually reasonably, that's probably better to get rid of that ring. Pretty good. But obviously you can do something about that fairly easily if you've got a little bit of space and you can use bits of foam under the mic stand, or you can get yourself a suspension if necessary. The interface, as I've said, needs good headroom, and I think it's good enough. Most modern ones will be, I feel. and I've put any old laptop, but quiet. Yeah, I've got 2 old Lenovo, which are ThinkPads, built like tanks. They get from when the officers have finished with them, you can pick up a nice one and someone's looked after it. They wipe them. They often put a small SD solid state drive in there. I've found them to be quite quiet. This one here is quite quiet. The fan did start making a noise, so I took it apart and put a drop of took the fan apart and just cleaned the bearings, sprayed them, and just put a drop of light machine oil in there. Seems to be fine. If you can get completely solid state with no noise, even better, but I haven't found that really to be an issue. Maybe cardioid helps. I would say yes for voiceovers. Omnidirectional sounds a bit more open, but unless you've got a lovely room and everything's silent, you're probably better off with cardioid or supercardioid. Audacity. I'm using Audacity here. I'm not an expert on it. I'm very grateful for it. I use it for stuff in the other computers as well. But I would suggest for a reason Cakewalk, which I hope I'll get back to if I remember, for ease. It's free as well. The room. That's the biggie. I won't go into that. You'll have to look online. I'll go into a bit. I'm just in this room here. If the neighbours start, if I'm doing a voiceover and they start making a noise, I'm stuffed. The room itself isn't too bad, as you can hear if I back off the mic and start doing stuff here. Here, can you hear the room there? A little bit of hear it coming back. So then I go into the Isovox, which stops the room, adds a little bit of something, not too, it's fairly benign, adds a little bit of something, reduces the neighbour noise if they're making a noise, but doesn't eliminate it, and it's quite expensive. I have got a friend who bought stuff on my recommendation, and she's got a largish flat, and she's got a kind of not walk-in cupboard, but kind of a cupboard which is the doors open, you can get into it and put something over top, and her husband put duvets and all sorts up there, and it works for her. Do a bit of research, because it's not putting duvets, the sound still goes through the you really need mass and other stuff going on, but hers, actually, I have to say, is okay. So you might be all right. You haven't got any money, have a little look online, see what you can muster yourself. Right, what have I got here then, and why? Inexpensive. Really, it wasn't so much that, though it needed to be, that's his requirement, but I was looking for what's extended and not got character. And I thought, I know. The SE V7X, which I'm going to move on to now. I'm not going to mute things because there's going to be some plunks and bumps as I do that. So now I'm on the V7X. So what I hear a little bit of a spike up there, but not much. We know that from before. Look at my review. I hear that low end there, which is you can use, as you can hear. Oh lordy, yes indeed. And it's not too blustery or old school either. You can hear a little bit of that up the top there. You can hear the handling noise because it goes so low, but it's going to be on a stand. The issue, watch out here, I've got to watch out as well, is that it's designed for instruments, so Peter Piper picked a peck. Peter Piper picked a bit of that going on. But, in there is a very thin layer of foam, so it's not going to make that much difference. There's another one just on top of the diaphragm. So I thought, okay, having said I won't mute, I'm going to. I thought, okay, there's a good start. It fits in a normal clamp, so a normal mic stand. If you can get it, this is on a concrete floor with carpet on it, so if I don't touch it, good to go. If you've got trains and stuff, good to go, probably concrete floor. But if you've got a wooden floor and people walking about, and it kind of maybe a different issue, you might have to get one of those. They're quite inexpensive. You can get a little basket type thing which will hold a dynamic. I wondered about removing this then, because I'm going to be, you can hear straight away a little bit, but everything's got it, almost everything's got it. Oh, I wonder about the new Earthworks, but that's going to put you over your budget. Possibly. It'll take up most of it, but I haven't tried it. So this is blue, it says. I don't know. It's mesh, double mesh, coarser mesh on the outside, or the other way around. Coarser mesh there on the inside and a fine mesh over the top. So I put that there, and you can position it, position it, position it. The owl and the pussycat went to sea. The owl and the pussycat went to sea. Pretty good. The owl and the pussycat. P, p, p. You'll still get that if you're really clumsy. P, 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 p. The owl and the pussycat. If you really need to get close to it, then I've said before, turn to one side. Not too far, otherwise it's going to be picking up your cheek. That's no good. But a bit of that. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea green boat. Oh, Lord. I did wonder then, what about getting rid of the grill, seeing as we've got a pop shield? I noticed a couple of things. One is, it's not quite enough, I don't think, depending on how clumsy you are. But I think I noticed something else which we're going to play with just now. If I could ever get the top off. I seem to be screwing it a lot. Oh, there we go, just got a lot of threads. Now I'm on the V7. Now I'm on the V7. Do I notice a difference? I think I do already. At the top there is fine out. Now I might change my mind about what I was thinking earlier. So now I've got the owl and the pussycat. The owl and the pussycat went, but there, a little bit more sensitive. Bring this further away. Can play with positioning. The more it dissipates it there, I imagine, the more space there is before it hits the diaphragm, the more it would have done that. The owl and the pussycat. Yes, the owl and the pussycat went to sea. The owl and the pussycat went to sea. Now, if that's close enough for you, you can do it. I'm thinking all the time that I've got more of that going on there, which wouldn't surprise me. And something, a little coloration, which I think I preferred it with the grill on, but I'm just going to try that now. Here it is then without anything in the front. Here it is without anything in the front. Here it is with the grill back on. Here it is with the grill back on. They're not screwed on, so it's slightly further forward. Oh, no. Here it is with the grill on. Is it a bit smoother? There's a bit of that at the top there, but that top bit seems to be a little bit spikier. And there's a slightly boxier thing to it. Probably that space in there. Or am I imagining it all? Here we go. Here it is with the grill off. Here it is with the grill off. Here it is with the grill off. You know what? I think I'm changing my mind from earlier. I think I'm going to leave the grill off. But of course I do have to have this. Positioned just so. Positioned just so. Or has it got too much? Sorry, I'm going to go back to where I was. Played with it earlier and decided to leave the grill on. Somebody said that the grill might have a Faraday cage effect electronically. I don't know. Is it me? No, just long threads. That's okay. I'm going to be doing it every 2 seconds. Here I am then all set up. Here I am then all set up. Here I am then all set up. Here I am then all... You know what? Here I am then all set up. Now, I don't know. You tell me what you think about that, but it just sounds that little bit more open to me. So we're going to leave it like this. All right, let's look at price, and then I'll do some comparisons. Did a little bit of research. Oh, interface. Well, I use with my laptop that I carry around and go over to the rehearsal studio, which is damned if I want to have a good old shout and sing or to do some vocal takes. I take the SV33. I take my ThinkPad Lenovo. And it goes into this. The Solo, small. I've done a test. This is version 3, I believe. And I've got the version 3 of the slightly larger one, which I have tested earlier on for sound. And I found that to be better than this desk here. Better than some other interface I was using with a Mackie desk into the interface. I found it to be the best of what I've got. All quite inexpensive. And I believe, though you have to check, I would imagine that the mic preamp in this will be the same as the one that's got 2. The one that's got 2 is more expensive, but I don't think it's because of better preamps. I think it's just because it's got 2 of them and a couple of bits of other stuff. And then you've got the Scarlett It's a Scarlet Claret. You only got the Claret range, which I imagine then the mic brands would be better. That's my imagination. So this, I'd recommend it. There's so many. Why am I using this? Oh, because I use them at the Brit School. Who did their research before they bought them, but maybe they got a relationship. I don't know. I got used to them. And I thought, oh, that seems to work all right. I've got it at Brit School, so I bought it myself. Along with a few other things that I've got used to using whilst teaching and thought that seems to do all right. I bought it myself, but there's loads. There are loads of these things. This SE-V7X is £76 new. I saw somebody in England, one of the shops I use, Anderton's, very good shop. I looked second-hand on eBay. Don't seem to be any. So, that's £76. This I saw for round about 100. I saw it going for 95, the Solo. I looked at pop screens, couldn't find this one. Some of them were quite expensive. I think the ones with just a bit of stocking material, the foam, circular ones with, I imagine they're going to be as, really. Anyway, they're about £12. So that adds up to £183 or $229. $229, eh? Yeah. And when I was looking, I saw this going as a studio set, which means it's this, the condenser mic, biggish one, headphones and a cable. I don't think a shock mount. So this, headphones, cable and the mic, refurbished. They've got a few of them, it seems, from Focusrite themselves, and that is £144.99, which is $181. Yeah. So cheaper than getting the bits separately. What's that mic like? I don't know. I can't imagine it's going to be no good. But I don't know. Maybe it's got a shape to it and it's got all that going on. So I don't know. So I'd say that my man, Deol, you're going to be able to do it and have a few pounds left over for sort of borrowing and begging some materials to try and make yourself a bit of a soundproof area. Go between them then. Oh, actually, Earthworks Ethos, and immediately maybe you can hear it's just so open, really. Back on this one here, excuse me, back on the V7X, back on, so you can hear, when I go, so you can hear, there's a bit of that going on, and also you can hear maybe, there's just, it's difficult to say what it is. It's the speed of the thing, I'm sure. It's just an expansiveness and a kind of a detail that, does it really matter? I don't know. See what you think. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money, wrapped up in a £5 note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money, wrapped up in a £5 note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. What a beautiful pussy you are. What a beautiful pussy you are. On the, whatever it is, the SE-V7X. Okay, well, I think, you got a bit of that going on, but I think really we're spoiled. That's the truth of it, isn't it? For what did I say it was? Oh, of course, with the, you'll also need some headphones. So the headphones are in that kit. Maybe you've got headphones already. When you get used to your headphones, I think you're okay. So what you need to do, if you've got half or even some good phone buds. Don't forget, if you're doing the voiceover, your interpretation is what counts, and using your voice as you're playing with it. But once you do that at a few of those and then listen back maybe on speakers or listen back on this and that, and you see, like I've got some Beats, you know them Beats Black Pro. I know they got some of that going on there. I know they got that. So when I'm listening on the Beats, I know I just ignore it because I know it sounds like there's too much bass, but I know that's what they're about. So I ignore it. I've learned to ignore it. I'm used to them. So I'd say then headphones, yes, they need to be clear enough, but for what you're doing, once you've got used to them and think, oh yeah, mine are a bit like, it's not my voice, it's not this, and then you just ignore that. You get used to it and you can judge. Up to you. What was it going to do? Look at the price then. So $181 or £150. Anyway, I hope that's of some use to Deol, and I'm sure, I think microphone first. Yeah, because if you've got that peak, or you haven't got the bass, or you've got sibilance, difficult to get rid of later, you can always add it. But not so easy to get rid of because they're going to be a funny shape. It's going to be spiky all over the place and you'll be fiddling around. Oh, one other thing then. Audacity is good. I don't know how to use all its stuff in there. I use Cakewalk for my multi-tracking, and I've started using the Cakewalk for the voiceovers as well, because you've got several tracks for a start. I'm sure you can on this as well, but it's just doesn't seem to be quite so easy to see and to figure out. And so I do my takes several times, maybe for the one phrase or whatever it is I'm doing. Maybe do 5 of them in one track. Then go to the next track and maybe do another 5. And maybe decide, oh, that bit of that take and that bit of that take. So I can just go there graphically, very easily, cut out, keep that bit there and that bit there on the other track. Then I can move that one down to there. And when I bring them together, they kind of do this. But sometimes they don't because I've forgotten how to switch it on. But generally speaking, it does that. So it kind of blends together. So if there's enough of a gap, like just there, like just there, like just there, even if I'm breathing in each time, like just there, like just there, that breathing in, if it's pretty much the same place, will be sort of meshed together, and it gets rid of any clicks that you might get sometimes when you do that with the waveforms. So it's very easy to do that. You can just draw the fade in or fade out in or out just by dragging the end at an angle like that, and it just fades it. You probably can do it on Audacity. Audacity's great, but I just find this visually Cakewalk very easy to see. Beyond that, when you've got it all done, there seems to be much more in the way of compressors and EQ, all sorts of stuff and plugins you can use. I'm sure that Audacity has got that as well, but at times I've tried to use it, I've found it a little bit coarse, but that's probably me. So I'm just saying that I have both. Simple, they're both free. You can donate to Audacity if you wish. Cakewalk's free. Try them both. For most of it, I use Cakewalk because of the flexibility. Anyway, hope it's of some use. Good luck with your poetry. Maybe you'll share some with us. Why not? Put a link in the description. No, the comments, rather. So here's some of your poetry. Is it in English, I wonder? Anyway, all the best. See you next time.